Rebel Moon, also known as Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire. Not a child on fire, not a girl on fire, but a child of fire. No, sorry, Hunger Games, we're not talking about you or Katniss. So today we're going to look at Zack Snyder's foray into world building, galaxy building, universe building kind of setup. Because let's go down to the quick version. So Rebel Moon was originally Zack Snyder's pitch to Star Wars for a Star Wars R-rated film. Lucasfilm and Disney said, nah, we're going to pass on it. So Zack Snyder goes, it doesn't matter what you say, I'm going to make my own. Yes, I infused a little bit of The Rock there. Deal with it. So he decides to go, I'm going to make my own universe, my own galaxy, set in a fictional galaxy, not necessarily far away, not necessarily a long time ago, but probably more likely futuristic in the future, technology advanced and everything. And Netflix said, we like it, sign us up for PG-13, of course. So Zack Snyder says, yeah, that works for me. So here we go. So Zack Snyder decided to create this universe, this galaxy, and he's infusing a lot of things he likes, Star Wars, Star Trek, a bunch of different tropes. He leaned into the Seven Samurai, the Magnificent Seven kind of storytelling here. So to kick things off, we get to hear this long story that honestly I almost fell asleep through because it was just a lot of exposition at the beginning, telling us about this king and this queen and this kid and how they lived and everything was happy and for a long time. And then something happened. The queen died. The king got killed. I don't know what happened. I wasn't paying attention. It lost me right at the very beginning. But anywho, we get brought to this village, this little city, this little town on this little deserted planet. Not exactly a desert planet, but kind of like it, where it had a beautiful landscapes and cinematography and all this fun stuff. But we get introduced right off the bat to Sophia Boutella, who her character is Cora, and she is somebody who doesn't want to be talked about, doesn't want to talk to a lot of other people. She's kind of a loner. She's kind of an outcast. She's there. That's not her original home, but she's there. Been there for a while, so that's who she is in this town. And we meet the big bad regime, this corrupt government, this empire, if you will. No, not that empire. No, not other empires, but it's its own unique empire where it's kind of like space Nazis. When I say space Nazis, I mean literally they look like space Nazis. They look like, let's put World War II Nazis in space a couple thousand years in the future, and they still have the ties and the jackets and the stupid little hats. They look like space Nazis. But they're not space Nazis, they're just the Empire. So we meet the Empire, they come down to the planet, and they kill the leader, and then Cora, who, the heroine, played by, as we've already mentioned, played by Sophia Boutella, takes it upon herself to kill everybody there, and then realizes, oh no, the bad guys are going to come back, and they're not going to be too happy that I just murdered all their people. Even though I did it because it was a good reason, now I'm going to have to protect this planet and recruit people. So the premise of the story is now Sophia Boutella's her character, Cora, who used to be a soldier for the evil empire, but then, fell away, chose to go away. We don't know exactly why. Maybe she, stubbed her toe. Maybe she got hurt feelings. Maybe, I don't know. But she is a deserter. So now she is forced to recruit to help protect this town, this city, this group of people who she has pitched in with. So that is the premise of the story. We're going to break it down into a little bit of stereotypes here as we go. Spoilers, last chance to run away while you can. Too late. Okay. Now, the leader of this of the town is played by Corey Stoll. If you don't know who Corey Stoll is, then you have failed. Corey Stoll was on FX's The Strain, where he had hair, and he pulled it off pretty well. But he was a star in that. He also starred in Ant-Man, where he was Darren Cross Yellowjacket. And then he also returned for Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, where he was MODOK, or Darren! He was the big head with the little baby arms and feet, and it was really disturbing, but he was kind of funny and heartwarming, and at the end, he was one of my favorite parts, I have to say. But either way, that is Corey Stoll, and he is bald, as he should be, in this particular movie, this role, and he is the leader of the town, and he gets killed. Yes, he gets killed, unfortunately, and you would think that's going to be what kicks off a court in defending the town, but it's not. That has nothing to do with it. She's okay with him being killed and murdered in front of everybody while she's still there standing watching it happen, but she's okay with it. It's later on when they're like, ooh, it's a girl, and she goes, no, not, well, I guess it's one like, no, not the girl, and she kills everybody. So at that point, she goes, okay, now it's time to recruit people, and so that's where we go with. So Corey Stoll is kind of like the Uncle Owen, Aunt Beru, the necessary martyr who isn't actually the martyr that kicked things off, but they're dead. And so Sophia, think of it as almost like an Obi-Wan Kenobi. No, not Obi-Wan Kenobi from The Phantom Menace, where we get to see the young Padawan who's still got emotions, still got fire, still trying to figure things out. No, not that Obi-Wan. No, not Obi-Wan from Attack of the Clones, where he's the detective and he's got the long hair, slicked back, and he's pretty cool and hot, and his baby Jesus, looks like Jesus. But no, not that one either. And no, not Revenge of the Sith, where he's more grizzled at that point, but he's willing to still kick butt. No, we don't get that one either. And if you're holding out hope that we're going to see Alec Guinness and Obi-Wan Kenobi from A New Hope, you're still wrong. What we're going to get is a female version of Obi-Wan Kenobi from Disney Plus's Obi-Wan Kenobi, where he gets pulled into the fight and the foray, and he's got connections and he's got a past, and he's going to fight to try to protect those he loves while also, fighting the big bad guy. So that is who Sophia's character, Cora, is Obi-Wan Kenobi from the Kenobi series, without any history, without any things that we know happens, 20 years later from A New Hope or anything in the past. We just get met with Cora, and she's played by, again, Sophia. And if you think she looks familiar, you're probably right, because in 2017 she was in a movie with Tom Cruise and Russell Crowe where she was the mummy. And if you still think there's something familiar about her, yes, she had 4 eyes. No, she didn't have glasses. She had 4 pupils, because she was the bad guy mummy with the rapping and on the whole dancing thing. The mummy. If you don't know the mummy, then go watch it. It's kind of amusing, actually. But yeah, so that is the woman who's playing Cora, who is now at the point where she has to recruit people to help protect and defend this city, this town, to rebel. So, of course, who does she pick to go with her but Michiel Huisman, who is also in the town, who is, quite frankly, responsible for Corey Stoll's death. I mean, he really is the one who's to blame, but we're supposed to overlook that and go, no, he's just a little bit of a scoundrel. And so if we're going to lean into the stereotypes, let's compare him. He's kind of like Lando Calrissian from Empire Strikes Back, where he's in it for himself and what's in it for him, but he's willing to bend the truth, break the truth, do things necessary, but eventually his character ends up becoming Lando Calrissian from Return of the Jedi, where he is now a hero. So that is what Huisman's character ends up being. But you know what? They're still stuck on a backwater planet. Not Tatooine. Definitely not Tatooine. But they're still stuck on a backwater planet, so they have to find a pilot with a ship. And who else than Charlie Hunnam? If you don't know who Charlie Hunnam is, then go watch Sons of Anarchy. He is Sons of Anarchy. He is Jax Teller. He is Sons of Anarchy. If you don't know who he is, he's from The Lost City of Z. He was in Guy Ritchie's King Arthur. That was technically The Legend of the Sword, but there wasn't enough money made, so the legend is going to remain a myth. Anyway, he was also on Tropical Frontier on Netflix with Pedro Pascal and Ben Affleck. That was a meh show for me. He was also in The Gentleman, and he had a few hilarious parts in that. But for me, I love him in Pacific Rim, where he was in the giant robots kicking giant monsters' butts. But he is still Jax Teller. So that is who Charlie Hunnam comes in. And the character he plays is Kai. That's his name, not Hai. It wasn't a mispronunciation. His name is Kai. And he comes off as a bit of a Han Solo. He's the scoundrel. He's a ruffian. He's, the pirate with a heart of gold. But, no, he's not. Spoiler alert. Again, if you don't want spoilers, you're watching the wrong video. Go somewhere else. But if you do want to continue, he isn't Han Solo from Star Wars. He is DJ, the Code Breaker, from Star Wars The Last Jedi. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I don't blame you. I wish I could rewind and remove that from my memory, but I can't. Benicio del Toro played a character who was a ruffian, a smuggler, rogue, blah, 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 in the second movie of the sequel trilogy. And you thought he was going to be like a Han Solo, Lando Calrissian character, and ended up he betrayed them and turned them over to the bad guys. That's what Charlie Hunnam is. Why? I don't know why, Why would he take a character that has, that much charisma, an actor who has that much charisma, that much, presence on screen, and you're going to turn him to a bad guy that's just like, I don't understand. But you know what? He was number 3 out of the 7 for the Magnificent 7 Rise, or the 7 Samurai. Next, we get Stas Nair. And if you don't know who that is, you're forgiven because he's been in a few things. But let's see, he was one of the leaders of the Dothraki army in Game of Thrones. He played Darkspawn in Krypton. If you don't know who that is, I don't want to spoil it for you, but we're spoiling. He plays a supervillain in Doomsday, and he was also in Supergirl. He was a reporter, Harder Girl, blah blah blah. William Day in Supergirl. If you still don't know who he is, let me break it down to you. His character is a bit like, to me, he reminds me of Strider from Lord of the Rings, where he was just this mysterious character that you meet, that you don't know the background from and everything. But then you find out later on that he's Aragorn, heir to Isildur, and the rightful king. That's who Stas plays. He plays a dude who doesn't wear shirts. And if I had a 6-pack here, a 6-pack here, a 6-pack here, I wouldn't wear shirts either because he's like, perfect physically, 6-pack wise. And then he has this long flowing hair. It's like, maybe it's Maybelline commercials. It's like, shh. And he jumps off of a mountain at one point to land on top of a flying, it's like a Pegasus or a Griffin. And, the slow motion, obviously, Zack Snyder's slow motion. And he's going, and the hair's flowing and the 6-pack's, glistening. And I'm like, man, he's pretty. But anyway, so that's who Stas is. We also find out that he is a prince of a decimated people, and that's all you need to know is that he has perfect hair, and that he has perfect 6-pack, and he has cheekbones that can cut you, and he's a prince, but he also jumps off of mountains and lands astride big monstrous beasts and controls them by something. I don't know. But that's who Stas is number 4. Next we go to Bayduna, who is she's a South Korean actress, and she's been in quite a few things. One of the things she's been in, and don't hold this against her, was Cloud Atlas and Jupiter Ascending. If you know what Jupiter Ascending is, don't turn away. I promise she's good. Just ignore I said that. We'll move on. She's also in Sensei, and she's also in Kingdom, which is almost like a historical zombie where swords and bows and arrows, and it's a different take on zombies. It's also on Netflix. You should check it out. And she's on The Silent Sea, which I haven't watched. It's on my watch list to do, and I'm definitely going to do that. But anyway, she's in this movie, and she is a swordswoman. Either way, she's the one with the swords, and so she's kind of the quiet one. So think 2004 King Arthur, Clive Owen, you had all the different knights, and then you had Tristan, who didn't say much, but he had the sword that he just laid people out. Kind of like that, or Legolas from Lord of the Rings. He was awesome with the swords and the bow and arrow. He was great martial fighter, and we don't get any of that. Unfortunately, Bayduna does not get the evolution of her character. She doesn't get any. She doesn't get her Gimli. There is no Gimli for her because with Legolas and Gimli in Lord of the Rings, they were paired together and they were perfect. Rhys Davies and Orlando Bloom. Their charisma, they're interconnected. They were so good. They're back and forth. Big. Throw me, but don't tell the elf. These are things. That you fell in love with Legos. Not only was he awesome with swords and bow and arrow, but his character grew and fused with other of the characters. With her character, she gets to fight a giant spider lady that I have no idea why, other than it looked pretty, it looked cool, and it was like, oh wait, look at me. And she has robot arms, which I want to know, why does she have robot arms? What happened that she has robot arms? But I don't even talk about it. We just move on. And that's what we're going to do to the next character, to the next one in the Magnificent 7, which is Ray Fisher's character. Now, if you know who Ray Fisher is, good for you. I first saw Ray Fisher really is Cyborg in Justice League, and I didn't care for him. I didn't like him. It was not for me. I said, I'm not going to watch any more Ray Fisher. I don't like him. But you know what? He proved me wrong, because his character here is it's a rebel leader of a small rebellion against the evil empire. And so, honestly, I really, really liked his character in this. Now, having said that, again, spoiler alert, here we go. Going back to Star Wars, he was kind of like the Biggs Darklighter from A New Hope, where he swerved in front of Luke Skywalker's X-Wing and took the shot so that Luke had a little extra time to make it to fire to destroy the Death Star, or back to Lord of the Rings, he was kind of like Sean Bean's Boromir from Lord of the Rings, where you got to see the character evolve through the movie. You got to like him and dislike him and like him again, and he made up for it. He had a redemption arc, and you knew he was going to die, and he got, Sean Bean's got bam with the arrow, but he's still fighting, and you're like, no, and he's hit again with the arrow, you're like, and he's still fighting, you're like, no, then he's hit with the third one, he's like, you're like, no. Yes, so it wasn't like that at all. Unfortunately for Ray Fisher, the character he portrayed, yes, died. He died valiantly and gave his life for everybody else, but there was no emotional connection because we didn't have enough time with this character to actually get emotionally involved and invested. And to me, it's one of the biggest problems for this movie was that the characters that did end up dying or you're introduced to, you don't have enough time to get to know them, to like them, to hate them, to have any kind of connection with them. And so it was a big injustice for Ray Fisher, a big sacrifice, but, it happens. And last but not least, part of the Magnificent Seven, you have to go with Mr. Duzon Mustard. Oh, wait, that's not right. Duzon Hoonshire. You know what? For all the names I'm mispronouncing now, it's Lord Cephas's fault. He's the one who sent me the paperwork and how to pronounce them and everything. So it's always Lord Cephas's fault. If anything goes wrong you don't like about it, it's always Lord Cephas's fault, not mine. But Duzon Hoonshire, Duzon Mustard, you know him. He's been around. He's Guardians of the Galaxy. He was also in Captain Marvel. What If? He was in DC in the Expanded Universe because he was in Shazam. He was the Wizard Shazam, not Shazam the word that changed Captain Marvel into Shazam, but everyone calls him Shazam. How do they know his special word? It doesn't matter because it's ridiculous. He was also Shazam the Wizard in Black Adam, and also Shazam Fury of the Box Office. Oh wait, Fury of the Gods. And you'll know him from Gladiator, with Ridley Scott and Russell Crowe, where he, spoiler alert, he was a gladiator in that, and he was in Constantine, where he was Papa Midnight, and I loved him in Papa Midnight and Constantine. Hopefully he'll be back when Keanu Reeves does Constantine 2, but that's neither here nor there. Back to Rebel Moon. In Rebel Moon, he plays General Titus, who was a general who turned on the Empire and led his army to fight the Empire, and then the Empire killed all of his army, but did not kill him. Yes, they knew where he was. They knew he was on a dusty planet playing gladiator again in the dirt and the muck, and he wasn't really too hidden or defended. He was in public. But, the Empire, the evil Empire is like, nah, we'll leave him be. He's all good. He's not going to come back and do anything bad. So that's where we find General Titus, his character. And if you want to go into that, General Titus is kind of like, to Star Wars, he's kind of like Mace Windu without the chance for Samuel Jackson to be cool or do his cool fighting or any of that. Or go back to Lord of the Rings, he would be kind of like a Treebeard where, he was like, oh, no, and finally gets into the fight. Or Elrond, who's like, no, but finally gets to the fight. But we don't care about General Titus. We aren't given enough. We're not giving anything about him. Why? So we're giving all these characters the Magnificent Seven that rides in space and Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon, and we don't know enough about the characters. We aren't given enough with the characters to get involved. We don't know enough about their history. They don't know what their personalities were like. We don't know anything other than, oh, hey, there's this one. Let's go to the next one. Let's go to the next planet and recruit another one. Oh, wait, we got him. Let's go to the next planet and recruit another one. And it's just, the big problem with this movie, with Zack Snyder's movie, is the exposition. It's everywhere. You get, the very beginning of the movie, like almost any science fiction or fantasy, whether it's starting their own universe or continuing another one, they give a little exposition at the beginning of the movie, and sometimes you get like flashcards of imagery and it's playing during the exposition. Well, this movie goes, you know what? That's a good idea. But let's not do it once. Let's not do it twice. Let's do it every single time we go to a different planet, meet a different character. We give an exposition that doesn't really give any reason why we should care about these characters other than these bare bone facts, so we can pull up, Wikipedia. Oh, this guy, yeah, we should recruit him because he fought against the Empire. Yeah, he got his whole army killed and he's still alive, but let's go recruit him. There's no context there's no connection to these characters. And on top of the exposition that's throughout this entire movie, we also get speeches. I swear, if I had to hear another speech, I would have thrown myself off the mountain aiming at the Griffin, flying Griffin, but really aiming for the valley below, because all these speeches that are given repeatedly through this movie from different characters, they're not awe-inspiring, they're not rebel-rousing, they're just bunches of words that are supposed to mean something, but they don't, other than you're wasting chunks of movie time that we could use to get people invested in the characters. Just last but not least, to Ed Skrein, how you pronounce his name, his character, the Admiral Cyborg Dude. Now, if you don't know who Ed Skrein is, whatever, how do we even pronounce it, and again, it's Lord Cephas' fault if I'm mispronouncing any of these names. He was the original Dario from Game of Thrones before he was recast the next season. He was Transporter Refueled, where he took over, or was a reboot for Jason Statham in the Transporter series. He was Ajax in Deadpool, where he had a bad axe. Actually, he had two axes, so he should have been called Two Axe, not Ajax. Okay, ignore that. That was bad. But anyway, he was also in Midway. But he is the villain of this movie. He is the Admiral, who we find out later is some kind of cyborg, who is like one part General Hux, one part Grand Moff Tarkin, but without the slippers. One part Darth Vader, but not the cool Darth Vader, not the New Hope scary Darth Vader, and not the, well, let's face it, it's not even the Rogue One Darth Vader. He was somewhere between Revenge of the Sith and Kenobi, where he wasn't what he was supposed to be. Or you could say he was like Sauron the Wise, or the Wise, or whatever from Lord of the Rings. But he was supposed to be the henchman, the right arm, the fist of the big bad that's behind the curtain. And it's not the actor's fault. It's the character is not menacing. I mean, first of all, he's in the Nazi uniform with the tie, the black tie and the white button-up shirt and the long jacket. It doesn't work with the hat. It doesn't work. The haircut is also not really flattering for a evil, massive henchman. And what he has for the weapon, it's not a cane. He beats people with this thing, kills them, but it's not a cane. It's not a cool cane. It's not a walking stick. It's not a broad axe. Actually, that's Ray Fisher's last name in this movie, but that's probably the point. It's not a lightsaber. It's certainly not a lightsaber. It's not a sword. It's not. What is it? It's not a wand. It's not a magic. It's nothing. It's just a stick. And he beats people, and we're supposed to care about him and fear him. And I'm afraid that if I was to follow him, I'd break him because he's too skinny. I'm afraid that he's going to be this Nazi commander. There's no fear in the character itself. There's no. The character was just badly managed. And like I said, it's not the actor's fault. It's just the character isn't frightening. It's not terrifying. It doesn't instill. There's no menace there. There's just almost like the General Hux kind of thing. And it doesn't work if he's supposed to be your big bad. And then at the end of the movie, we find out he's not dead. Spoiler again. If you've made it this far, it's your fault if you're not wanting spoilers. And he's got like this Matrix plug into the back of his head jack thing that downloads him, sends him to meet the big bad, and they've got these like blue tubes, yellow tubes, and I'm not sure what's going on. I don't know if he's getting the newest antivirus software, or if he's getting healed, or if they're filling him up with diesel fuel. I don't know what this is, but all I do know is he's not dead, and he comes back and he's like, "Arr!" So almost like a Wolverine, Hugh Jackman from a Wolverine Origins, where he busts out, but it's nowhere near that cool. So what is going on? I understand that Zack Snyder is wanting to create this whole universe. He's wanting to, it's supposed to be an homage to the Seven Samurai and the Magnificent Seven, and to Star Wars a bit, and to all these other science fiction fantasy things. And I understand that, but the mark was missed. Now, we do know that there's going to be a director's cut coming out, and it's supposed to be a completely different movie, according to Zack Snyder, when he said that his director's cut is going to make it seem like a completely different movie. I hope it does. I hope he has time to instill why we should care about these characters, why it's important, why we should feel for these people, because it's missing in Rebel Moon. And, to wrap it up, Rebel Moon, if you're a fan of Zack Snyder's, it's everything you want. It's got the glinty cinematography. It's got the wonderful visuals. It's got the CGI. It's got the slow motion and the hair and the abs. Yes, we're talking about you, Staz. But, I mean, it's got everything that you like about Zack Snyder, but not everything you love. And if you're a fan of science fiction or fantasy, it's got a lot of the ingredients that we love to see, and we love to read, and we love to watch, and all these things, but it's missing the heart. It's the heart that's missing from this. And I think if if anything, the first one was set, part one, part two were recorded at the same time. So obviously, part two is going to be coming out in April. My hope is that maybe Zack Snyder can come out with a director's cut and make us care more about these characters and giving us like just moments where we see the humanity, or moments where we see their pain, or we can feel something. Because all I'm feeling when I watched this movie was, I've got to use the bathroom, and I'm not going to pause it. I can, but I'm not going to. My daughter paused it, so she paused it and waited for me. But that's not the point. The point is, I didn't even care to pause the movie to use the bathroom. When I had the opportunity, my daughter paused it. She liked it because it had a female heroine. And you know what? I'm all for that. I'm not against that at all. I'm glad for it. But I don't care about her. She could have died at the very beginning. It wouldn't have mattered to me. That's not the point. The point is, I want to feel something. Yes, I want to see this wonderful and beautiful galaxy and universe that Zack Snyder's building, and I want to see this, the continuation of sci-fi and fantasy. But I have to feel something other than the need for urination 2/3 of the way through the movie. So, you know what? I want more for this. So, if you're a Zack Snyder fan, science fiction, fantasy, if you own a Netflix membership right now, go watch it. You probably won't regret it. I won't say you won't regret it, but you probably won't regret it, because there's a lot of things that you like. And there's some things that you need that's missing. And that need is the heart. It's the humanity. It's the part that makes us connect and care about these characters. And that's missing. So hopefully we'll fix it in the director's cut. Hopefully it'll be there bursting in the very beginning of part two, The Scar Giver, because watching the first one, I feel like I'm scarred over. So you're going to need to rip the scar open and, have me feel and bleed for these characters. Because if you don't, I might not make it through the second one. So I really want to enjoy it. And there were parts of it that were good, but it was missing the heart. And so that's it for Realm of Reality. If you want to, hit the subscribe button, hit the like, hit share. Leave a comment. Tell me I'm right. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me something, and I promise not to cry more than 5 minutes in the corner, because I'm going to have to go back and rewatch this movie again just to see if I gave it justice and gave it a chance. And the 5 minutes is going to cut into my watching time. So you know what to do. We love you. Midnight Magic Musing, Earl of Florida. We'll catch you next time with Lord Cephas and our Midnight Magic Musing special that we should be dropping for Christmas. Take it easy.